This is Bennett Schomber on the campus of Huntington University. You're listening to Rooted, an in-depth conversation with interesting people and topics that matter to the Forrester family. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. You can find us by searching Forrester Radio Rooted, and you can also catch Rooted Sunday evenings at 7 on 105.5 WQHU. Today I'm joined by Jarod Hammel. Jarod is the Dean of Students and baseball coach at Huntington North High School. Thank you, Jarod, for joining me today.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Bennett. It's nice to meet you.
How long have you been in the world of education?
I am just wrapping up my 12th year, and that's really hard to believe. My 12th year here at Huntington North High School. I attended here as a student and went to Huntington University for 4 years. And then right after that was able to get a job right here at home.
What is your current role within the school system?
I currently serve as the sophomore dean of students, which means that I handle attendance and discipline. I also work with math teachers in our building. I have the privilege of doing that. We've got a lot of really great math teachers at Huntington North High School. It's been a blast to work with them as a former math teacher and then jump back in their classrooms.
Obviously, you serve in a more leadership role now. Have you taught other things in the past?
Before serving as a sophomore dean of students, I'm wrapping up my 3rd year doing that. I was a math teacher in the building for 9 years. I taught a lot of different subjects, everything from pre-algebra, my first year, all the way up through Honors Algebra 2, and then some senior level math classes like finite math and statistics. So yeah, I ran the gamut of math courses and definitely taught classes that were not always the student's favorite, the subject area. They didn't always jump at the opportunity at first to learn the math, but it was a fun challenge to try to engage them in that content and kind of flip their thinking and see that really mathematics isn't all that bad, and especially some of the senior level opportunities that stats and finite math provide. Really valuable life lessons and skills for the kids as they venture out into the real world.
What got you into education in the first place?
No different than most career paths. Usually there's someone or a few people in your life who have a big impact on your career choice, and ultimately a career choice is a manifestation of your desire to impact the kingdom, right? Obviously in education, you see a tremendous impact that you can make and an opportunity for impact. And I had some really great teachers, and if I start naming names, I'll leave someone out. Some great teachers and coaches who had just had a tremendous impact on my life. And I kind of started to hit that crossroads where I could have, taken a number of opportunities that I had at my fingertips. I explored being an actuary. I explored the construction field, and just could have looked at a variety of things. But when I really analyzed the pros and cons, the opportunity to impact a young life just kind of floated to the top. And it's something that there's a lot of distractions in education today. There's a lot of things creeping into schools that are maybe quite frankly trying to detract from the real school experience, but despite all of that, at the heart is an opportunity to impact a young life, and that can come in a variety of ways, whether it's in the classroom, in the discipline office, or on the athletic field. There is an opportunity at my doorstep every single day, and that's pretty cool.
So it's my understanding you're also the baseball coach?
I am the baseball coach again here at Huntington North. I'll tell you that I for 9 years I was the assistant coach, and when I moved into administration, I got out of coaching. I had 4 young kids at the time, and plus the transition to administration was plenty of a challenge for me at the time. And our school had a void here this past year, and it's been really neat to step back into coaching and get to do some things a little bit differently. As the head coach at Huntington North again, and it's been a blast to be back in Viking baseball and a program that has given me a lot, and hopefully provide a really valuable experience for the young men in our community.
So, how did you get how did you get that opportunity to become the head coach?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I was an assistant coach for 6 years, worked for 3 different head coaches, learned a lot from each of them. Had an opportunity then, after those 6 years to take over the program, and did so in 2017. And just had a chance to continue the rich tradition of what we call Viking baseball. We built our program on what I call the philosophy of Win 7. It's kind of cheesy, but we've got, when I laid out what I want Viking baseball to be about, it was about 7 core values and teaching young men about toughness, resiliency, character, concentration, attention to detail, effort, and professionalism. And I think the baseball provides a unique opportunity to teach those values to kids. We also used the Win 7 when I took over the program, and we still use it to this day because we're in a conference with 8 teams, meaning if you want to win the conference championship, you got to get through 7. There are other cheesy things. Our games are 7 innings long, and typically it's win 7 games to get to the state championship. So Win 7 stands for a lot of different things, but most of all it stands for the 7 core pillars of our program in controlling those things. We may not win every conference game or even make it very far in the state tournament, but hopefully the young men, through the values that we teach in our program, winning those 7 every day, hopefully it sets them up for success as future employees and husbands and fathers down the road.
Seems like you got a tight grasp on your team there.
We every day, every practice, every game is an opportunity, and to try and keep building and perfecting that. And as a coach, I'm not always perfect with my evaluation of Win 7, and in front of my guys, I got to own that sometimes and let them know where I fell short. But it's a neat thing. A team is like a family, and you spend so much time together, and those moments are pretty cool. And again, it's just a thing that's at my doorstep every day, so it's a neat opportunity.
So does being an educator affect your coaching ability / does it help or affect it?
That's a really great question, and I want to make sure that I frame it that I think you can be a phenomenal coach and not be a classroom educator. A teacher is a teacher, whether they're in a school building or not. But I do think that some of the values, in education, I do think it helps to be in the building. I will say that. My relationships with kids, I can't imagine not being able to see them at lunch. We've got all of our kids in an athlete weight training class right now that is just phenomenal. It's high energy, and I get to go down and be a part of that, a few minutes here and a few minutes there, and fist pound them. And I can't imagine not being in the building, as an educator, not getting, maybe not getting those opportunities. Or, I have the chance during my day to, pull up a chair, at lunch with either my athletes or kids who aren't athletes, and I get to sit and talk with them and see how their day's going. It definitely helps, your relationships, which is what really moves the needle in education. If you really want a kid to learn math or learn baseball or change their behavior and discipline, it's all going to start with them having a good relationship with you.
What is your educational history?
Yeah, so I graduated from Huntington North High School in 2006. I attended Huntington University, where I majored in math and math education. As I said previously, I toyed around with being an actuary, almost took the first test, but just decided sitting in a cubicle wasn't really for me. Then I came back to Huntington North, and I immediately started working on my master's degree through Ball State. I got my master's in educational administration in 2012 from Ball State University. And then I just kind of tried to wait for that right fit. Administratively, I was never beaten down the door to get into administration. I was pretty happy in the classroom. Then I felt like I had that right opportunity and took it. And then COVID hit, and it was a really it was a tough time for everybody. I'll tell you, it's been an especially tough time to be a school administrator and wrap your arms around not only a school building, but everything in the world that creeps in, at that time. And what COVID brought, the challenges, and also the kind of the darkness that, not to be negative, but that comes out as a result of kids being at home, in the struggles of the time, those kind of creeping back into the building post-COVID. I'll tell you, it's definitely been a real challenge.
So, you talked about COVID and how it affected a lot of things. How has your teaching and coaching style changed since you've started, if at all?
Yeah, so I will say, when I first started teaching and coaching, I was really a hammer on the nail, if you will. I would hammer. I'd identify what needed to improve and hammer at it, and really strive to seek perfection. And I think that I don't regret that. I'm not saying I regret that. I think that now in my 12th year working with young people, especially on the coaching front, getting out and getting back in, we still want to strive for perfection, but I think I am way more about the process. I remember, coaching my first few years, I would literally stay up all night thinking about the next practice plan, and it was tough to turn my mind off because I wanted to address everything that needed to be addressed, create a phenomenal environment for our guys, and like I say, I'd really be the hammer to that nail, driving the points home. I think I still bring that same attention to detail to my work, but I think I'm way more in tune with the process and probably much more mature and wise at parsing out what needs to be taught immediately versus what can wait 3 or 4 days, add it to a future practice plan, and still make the same point. So, I wouldn't say that I've backed off with my intensity at all. I think that's still there. Just way more in touch with the process and probably approaching things with a higher degree of wisdom.
Mm-hmm. And obviously with your coaching, you're more perfection. Was that also your teaching style as well, or was your teaching and your coaching separated?
Yeah, I'll say I think it's similar to the classroom, maybe to a little bit lesser degree, because frankly your relationships in the classroom are probably a degree lesser than they are on the ball field. When you're spending so much extra time, you're basically those kids' parents in baseball season, where they're riding the bus with you, they're spending every weekend with you, you're spending so much time together. But I would say it's the same in the classroom. I'd just have the kids 45 minutes. It's not that I didn't build great relationships with them, and I would still hammer at the mistakes of the day or at what needed to be addressed or what were flaws in my instruction. I would say it was the same as baseball. It's just to a slightly lesser degree, because again, it's not to say that there's no relationships between a student and a teacher, because I felt like I had those. It's just baseball is the most glaring because you spend so much time with the kids. So yeah, I would say very similar analogy to what I told on the baseball field as far as practices and games in the classroom. Way more wise, and I might, rather than hammer the points at the start of class, I might save what needed to be addressed for 3 days from now at our review, and focus on the process instead of we got to get this fixed right now.
You tailor your teaching and coaching to students?
That's a great question. Because if you don't tailor it to the students, and that doesn't mean that we spoon feed them everything that they need, because life's not going to be that way. But if you don't tailor things to their style and essentially their needs, you're really not going to get anywhere. Whether it's math, and I say all the time, you got to get these kids to eat their vegetables, and math is like vegetables, and nobody wants to do it. So how do you do that? I think you again, what I talked about earlier, and it sounds cliche and cheesy, but if you have a relationship with a kid, and you can get on their level, and they will do just about anything for you, whether it's math, whether it's laying down a bunt in baseball. You can, if you have that relationship with them, you can get them to do about anything. So rather than about how to package those vegetables or how you dress them up, I just think being real with them and saying, hey, these are vegetables. They're not good, but you and I are going to get through this together. Let's go do the job. And here's why we're going to do the job, because it's going to help us as a group. It's going to help you as a person, and just locking arms with them and getting through that tough stuff, built upon that relationship. I think that's what it's about. You can jazz things up all you want, but vegetables are vegetables, math is math, and button the baseball is button the baseball. And sometimes none of those are fun. And we're in a world today, where I think we all kind of want things to be easy. And just being real with kids that it's not always going to be that way. And this is going to better you. And I'm here to stand behind you all the way. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I know in school I didn't like that.
You're not alone. You are not alone.
What opportunities and challenges do you face teaching and in coaching in Northeast Indiana?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you right now, there's a lot of opportunities. It is a tough time to be in education. I love it. I think it's a blast to get to work with kids. But the path of the school has been plowed extremely wide in all the things that the school is asked to do. Not just what the school is asked to do, what the school thinks it should do. There's a lot of days where I kind of sit back and I go, I remember the day when we were just a school. Some of that is good. Some of that, is, quite frankly, good that the school has an awareness of some things that are bigger than itself, but sometimes the arms of the school get stretched so wide that it's hard to feel that we're good at anything. I'll tell you that is both an opportunity and a challenge. And some of that's because of the last couple of years with COVID, and some of that has been coming for a very long time. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't have all the solutions. But I do think there's going to have to be some kind of movement, maybe back to what high school is, or back to what school in general is, and the points of emphasis, what we are and what we aren't, because we can't do it all.
Have you taught anywhere else?
I have not taught anywhere else other than a student teaching experience at Northfield High School. Really liked Northfield. It was a great opportunity. I learned a lot there in my time student teaching. That was back in the fall of 2010. So that was, it was not the fall of 2010, the spring of 2010. So, yep, that's the only other opportunity, the only other educational experience that I have other than being a staple here at Huntington North High School.
And there was your has your teaching you kind of already answered this, but elsewhere, was your teaching style the same? Like anything, with your craft, maybe as you do interviews, you'll pick up things from people, and you'll just keep fine tuning your craft. I would say I have absolutely changed my teaching style. I was the king early on, in my math career of using buzzwords and cute little analogies, and then as my career got on and I got experience to some more upper level math classes, I realized, man, I'm really kind of hurting these kids because I'm not using the right language. I'm not using the right math vocabulary. I'm dressing it up and making it cute. Yeah, they might be learning and remembering it, but they're only learning it and remembering it my way, and that's not what this needs to be. It needs to set them up for success with their future. So, that was just one example of something that I kind of humbly look back on, maybe messing kids up a little bit. You know what I mean? I was teaching them what they needed to learn, but almost in my own little selfish way that worked in my own little classroom. Where I needed to use appropriate math terminology that would, help them as they transition to other teachers' math classrooms, different from my own. Yeah. Obviously, you've been here for quite many years. Do you always plan on being in this school you're currently at, or if say another opportunity came from a different school, would you like consider it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I love it here. You know, I would tell you, I think anybody with any wisdom is foolish to say, this is what I'm going to do forever. You know, I have no plans, but, you know, God opens doors and closes doors for a reason. And, you know, I've just learned in my life, you know, just to watch for those doors. And again, like I say, I think anybody with any wisdom who could tell you what they're doing, you know, 10 years from now, you know, I just don't think you hear people of wisdom talk that way. So that's kind of the way I want to live my life. I'm open to about anything, and you know, and sometimes you gotta put your money where your mouth is. Don't get me wrong, I'm very comfortable here, and know a whole lot of people in this community. You know, but I won't go so far as to say that I am stuck or tied here. So who knows what doors will open up.
You know, that's kind of how you have to live sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
What challenges have you faced like as an educator, and how have you like overcame them?
Yeah, I'll tell you everything. You know, everything from my teaching style being pushed. I hinted at that, you know, a little while back. Some of those are really, really good types of challenges when you're challenged to rethink your instructional strategies or the ways that you approach your business. I'll tell you the biggest challenges that I'm facing right now in my role as dean is some of the stuff that I hinted at. I just feel like the path of the school is getting plowed so wide that it's hard to feel good at anything. You know, in days like that, it really serves me well to get out in a classroom where the magic really happens and observe what good work some of our teachers are doing with kids. You know, get out and talk to kids and see those bright spots and listen to what's going on in their life. But I think that, you know, the challenges will continue to be, in my opinion, centered around the role of the school. You know, how do we balance everything coming at us, and how do we provide services for the challenges, or how do we find, you know, outside resources that can maybe better provide those services? Because you know, we are a high school. We get these kids 7 to 8 hours a day, most of them. We can't. I think we're asked to be everything for them all the time, and you know, just to be brutally honest, it sounds bad, but my heart wants to, but we can't. We can't do it alone. So that battle will continue. It's something that we have to wrestle with as a community and figure out, what are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with this that's in front of us right now? And I hope we get it right, because the future is counting on it.
So you mentioned like in the beginning, like you have many people who've inspired you. Can you just like name like who was like the most inspirational?
Okay.
Or like impacted you in like some way?
You're going to put me on the spot, and I'll answer this. This answer is pretty easy. I'll say it's Coach Diggets, Russ Diggets, who is now a staple at Huntington University, and he as well has been a staple in the Huntington community. We're so fortunate to have picked him up. You know, I started my high school career with him as my baseball coach in 2002. He was the freshman coach, and I was just a scrawny little freshman. You know, he had a huge impact on me that year as a freshman, and that continued as he transitioned into the head coach, and it continues today. Russ is still a guy that I go to breakfast with, just a person of faith and of wisdom, a great mentor, and you know, just a guy you can talk about teaching and coaching kids with, who gets that big picture. So yeah, he has and has continued to have and will always have, you know, a big part in my life. And you know, when you look at the Mount Rushmore of educators, in my opinion, he is certainly on that in my life. So definitely have stolen a lot from him in the coaching world and teaching world and administrative world and dad world and all that stuff. Just a great guy to be around.
I'm sure if he listens to this, he'll appreciate that.
He'll probably, knowing Russ, he'll probably hope that you would edit that out. He'll be a little embarrassed, but he's a phenomenal, a phenomenal Viking, a phenomenal Forester.
You've like touched bases like on this like throughout, but like, what has helped you be like a better like educator and coach?
Honestly, some of the adversity that I've faced, I've had. I say that, it makes it sound like I've had a tough life. I've had a very easy life compared to a lot of these kids. But some of my most powerful teaching moments are when I am able to tell a kid about, not to make it about me, but here's an experience that I had and here's how I got through it. Whether that was an injury, whether that was being told no, you're not good enough to play or start right now, or that was told no, you're not getting this job right now, you're not ready yet. Some of that being told no, growth occurs during that. If you can really quickly round that corner instead of sulk in the defeat of the moment or sulk in the negativity. Right before you walked in, I actually kind of had you wait in the lobby for a minute. I was on the phone with a young man who had an injury this weekend, and he's a phenomenal. He's actually going to go into education. So in my head, I'm thinking about the impact that some of the teachers and coaches have had in my life in that adversity. One of the guys I just mentioned, and I'm thinking about, okay, don't miss this opportunity, Coach Hammel. Don't miss this opportunity. You got a young man at the doctor right now who's had a bad day, whose season very well could be over after he dove for a ball this weekend and banged up his hand pretty good. What are you going to say here? What are some people who said some things to you? And as I've gone through that adversity, I've tried to make note of those big moments and hopefully just pass the torch along to the next kid who's having a rough day to help get them through that and make it part of their good story. So every day that stuff lands at my doorstep, and it just happened to right before you came in here. I don't know, and I won't know if I helped that young man, and maybe till many years from now. But I just hope that I can do half of what many other people stepped into my life and did.
What do you look forward to like when you're either like working with children or like coaching or teaching?
Most coaches and teachers will tell you this. I look forward to maintaining those relationships that transcend the walls of the classroom. Being invited to weddings, or just you don't do it for the money. You do it for the relationships. Whether it's I get a wedding invitation from a former player, or a player or a student who reaches out, hey, can I use you as a reference? And it's like when you get those requests for references or wedding invitations, that those students feel like they've seen you at your best. So that means you've gotten the best out of them. I always take it as a compliment when I get a reference call, because that student is saying then that, hey, may not have worked forever for you. And that is, I think, the biggest reward that there is.
You remind me a lot of my wrestling coach.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad. I hope everybody has someone like that, a wrestling coach, or just someone in their life. And I don't relate to all kids. There's some who I just don't click with, but I always hope that there's someone in our building that they do click with. Because we all relate to all different types of people.
Do you have like any final like thoughts or like stories?
I would just say, if you're listening to this podcast and you're a college student, schools are hurting right now. Schools need people to come stand in the gap a little bit, whether it's coaching, teaching. I'm not trying to guilt trip anybody into teaching. The number of schools right now that have, whether it's middle school or elementary, that have extracurricular options open, it blows my mind, and it's very sad, because those are opportunities for impact. And if you're out there thinking, wow, I don't really know a lot about this or that, or I don't know what I would do, don't sell yourself short. If you are someone who can have an impact on a kid through a positive relationship, when that motivates you, you can learn a lot of the other stuff. I try to get that through to my baseball coaching staff. I have assembled not just good baseball minds. I've assembled people of faith and who walk in wisdom. In the baseball philosophy stuff, that's kind of my job to teach them. Although, again, I work with some great baseball minds. But a lot of times when I ask coaches to come on board, like, I don't know if I can really teach at that level. And I just say, quit worrying about it. You'll be phenomenal with kids. We'll pick up on the other stuff. I need kid magnets. So if you're out there and you have any ounce of kid magnetism in you, any desire for impact, set aside all the self-conscious thoughts about, well, I'm not very good at basketball. I don't really know the most about it, or I don't know about getting involved in the robotics program or whatever. You can pick up on that stuff. Come have an impact.
Just give me
I'll tell you, schools need it in a bad way
like
today.
within either your life or school system.
I'm extremely grateful first for my family. I was fortunate enough. I sit in this seat and I work with kids from a lot of broken homes. I'll start with my parents. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a great home, a stable home, and every day I'm more and more thankful for that. I guess second kind of goes along with it. I'm thankful for my wife and kids who sacrifice a lot so I can do what I do. All jobs come with sacrifices, but especially coaching baseball again this year. There's a lot of days that Dad is has to call and say goodnight or is away from home. That's really tough. It's tough with 4 really, really little kids at home who don't always understand. But I'm grateful for them for coloring me good luck pictures and for my wife for just being fantastic. I wouldn't do it if she wasn't a rock star at home. So then I guess the third is I've already kind of touched this, but I'm just thankful for all the. I've tried to be a sponge in life, a sponge of people of wisdom. I was kind of the kid, whether it was at the university or anywhere else. I had a great group of friends, but I tried to really latch on to people who walked in wisdom, who made good decisions. Not that I've ever always made perfect choices or didn't get wrapped up in stuff, and a little bit of fun every now and then. But as far as really, really having those positive relationships, I tried to really connect with people who walked in wisdom, walked in faith, and I'm just grateful for God for putting those types of people in my life, and giving me the experiences that I've had and the opportunities that I've had.
Well, our time has come to an end. Thank you, Jarod, for joining me on this episode of Rooted.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to sit down with you today, Bennett.
And thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe to Rooted on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. And remember, you can listen to Forester Radio over the air in Huntington on 105.5 WQHU or stream us anytime, anywhere on foresterradio.com. Stay rooted.